There's two simple phases of creative testing that I use to scale my ads to over $10 million in revenue. And in this video, I'll walk you through these two phases so that you can find winning ads faster, stop wasting budget on your ad testing, and ultimately get from 5 or 6 figure months to 7 figure months in half the time it took me. So with that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so the two phases of creative testing. Now listen, before you even get to scripting or creating briefs, you need to understand which state of creative testing you are currently in. Right? There's two phases which I'll get into. Now, if you are following the wrong strategy in each phase, right, you will be running in circles and make no progress when it comes to scaling your ads. So I see this a lot where people think they're in phase one, but they should be in phase two, where people are trying to do phase two, but they should be in phase one, right? And if you're not testing properly, following the proper strategy you should be in each phase, you'll simply be running in circles and it'll be prevent you from scaling and also prevent you from getting consistent results, okay? So both phases are similar, but you need to go through phase one first to execute on phase two properly. Now, the strategy in phase one is to get you up to scale as fast as possible, plus collect as many learnings as we can to bring into phase two where the real scale happens. So most of you watching, as I kind of just said, have either never done phase one properly or have done phase one but are stuck there and haven't moved on to phase two, right? Which is exactly why you were struggling to scale and or get consistent results from your ad. And I have two examples of this where this was exactly the case with some clients before I worked with them. So for example, Calvin, he came on at about 2 to 3K per day, and boom, he's doing over 12 to 13K a day. And actually, this post is from November 8th. Since then, December, he's pacing to do over 500. It's 500, 600,000, one of those two. But anyways, he's continuing to scale, and it's because once again he thought he was still doing phase one, but he should be doing phase two, right? So that's Calvin. That's one example. And the second example is Zan. So once again, he joined, and within 2 weeks, he found a new winning ad, and he scaled to just under $1 million a month. Now, I can't take all credit for that because you're consistently testing before that, but same thing. He joined, he figured out, okay, I need to be testing phase two, did it, boom, scaled. Now, once again, if you wanted to work with me one-on-one, just like Calvin and Zan, so I could help scale you to 7-figure months as well, there's a link in the description, check it out. Now, on to phase one. So first, replicate and iterate. This is phase one. So whenever you're first testing, or there's a need to get data fast, plus launching ads ASAP to see what works. So once again, if you need to get data fast, you're initially testing, and or you haven't done that much testing, you should probably start here anyways. Or if you have a ton of ads to test, or for whatever reason you need to launch a ton just to see what works, this is what phase one is. So there's 3 points here, right? You got to swipe ideas as ads from competitors, look into your research and tweak them accordingly, and create your own superior version with better content and scripts. I'm going to show you and break down how I would actually do this right now. Okay, so here's an ad that I found that's going to be a good example to try this out and show you what I would do. Now, I'm going to do the whole ad because it would be here for a while, but essentially what I would do to replicate these ads is I break it down side by side, then I rewrite each line purposely with my own new script based off the research I did, right? So now let's pretend you're in the niche of, once again, sleep aid, like trying to help people with their sleep. Now, Ride Superfoods, they sell this like mushroom blend that helps you sleep, whatever. Now, let's just say instead, once again, you're selling a melatonin gummy, okay? You sell melatonin gummies, you're doing research, and you find this competitor, not obviously melatonin gummies, but it's the same niche, helping sleep. So what you would do is you'd come here, you'd watch the ad, sleep hacks that suck. So, right, I'd come to this document right here, and I would put sleep hacks that suck. All right, we write it down. Gotta go over my microphone here. Next line. I'm what you call night owl, but not by choice. I put an arrow there again. We can move on to the next one. Well, I'm just gonna short form this. It's gonna take forever, right? But I tried sleep aids. ... Order. Anyway, you get the point. We go line by line. And now once again, you're selling melatonin gummies. So we're trying to follow the same angle that it solves sleep issues, if that's what your research said that you should do, ranked in priority, etc. There's another video on that, last week's video. But basically, once again, sleep hacks that suck, right? You could probably hacks that suck. You could probably keep this the same. It makes sense, right? You could probably keep this one the same. You could probably keep, oh, I tried sleeping aids too. And now once again, let's fast forward. Okay. You call seat masks. You could call these out too. These are bad alternatives. So maybe you change prescription meds because it's close to melatonin, and instead you put like whatever, some sort of mushroom blend or a sleep blend or any other sleep alternatives that your people said in your review wouldn't work. Now, what's important here, let me back this up, is sleep mask. You would put these three, you wouldn't just copy these three. You would use the 3 bad alternatives that are most frequently mentioned in the reviews of your product or competitors' reviews, because it's based off of your research and needs to relate to your customers, not their customers. Now, these could be the same, sure, but let's say instead, through your research, you find that the bad alternatives or other solutions people have tried were tea, like herbal tea. Maybe it was, once again, sleeping aids or sleeping pills, and I don't know, whatever. coffee or whatever. I don't even know. Coffee's a terrible example, but you get my point. There's 3 other things that they mentioned in the reviews. You would put those down, right? Based off your research. And essentially what you go through, you do this document, you go line by line, and you rewrite it for your own brand based off your research. Once again, I tried sleeping aids. Now let's say once again, with your research, you found out that maybe is sleeping pills, and they call it sleeping pills as sleeping aids is what's most common in the reviews for your product. Then you would just simply go, I tried sleeping aids. And what you would do, once again, you change line by line to yours, so it makes it work for your product based off the research you're done. And now along these ones here on the right side, right, you will have a full scripted ad based off your competitor or someone in the similar niche for an ad structure that you know works for them with hooks that you know work very well, okay? Now, if it will convert or not convert really depends on, once again, if you translate it based off the research you did, then you'll go review this multiple times to improve it further and further until you have your final ad, okay? But when I say, replicate, this is what I mean. I don't mean go download the ad and use it for your own. I mean, you would actually, once again, take the one that's working for the competitor, line by line, improve it line by line. Now you have your final ad based off what's working for the competitor and based off your own research. Now, once again, we're doing this because the goal is to get live with high confidence ads as fast as we can to see the results and help point us further in the right direction. What we're not trying to do is create things from scratch, but instead take what is working and change/iterate on it based on our research and launch. Once again, phase 1, we're trying to get all the data we can to point in the right direction so we can effectively get to phase 2. Okay, so once again, pro tip here, use 4-player ad library to sort by longest running ads to see what works the best for your competitors. And once again, take it with a grain of salt. It's not 100% true all the time. You don't know why it's still live. It could be retargeting. It could just even be engagement. You never really know. But point is, sort by longest running. Go with that, but don't live or die by it. Okay. So this is important because if you haven't done this yet and you're creating your own ads or ideas, I suggest you go back and do this, right? Because this will get you very far. This will get you 6-figure months if done properly. And once again, if done properly, meaning we don't rip ads, we take their ad, we learn from it, we reverse engineer it by breaking it down on a doc like we did there. We improve it, we get our own content and own creators for it, and now we have a good high confidence winning ad, still basis of our research with our own content, okay? Now, very important here. This will only work initially and get you some quick wins, but it will not scale you. These ads won't last long as they are just repurposed ads and concepts. You will always be one step behind your competitors if you only do this. So from here, you need to go on to phase 2. Now, this is where most people get stuck in this phase and they wonder why they can't still get consistent results. You'll typically see if you can scale up to 100K a month or 200K a month or 250K a month, and you're there for 2-3 months and then sales drop down massively. Well, why? Well, you're probably creating ads based off what you know works from the competitors, and that's great, and it got you there. Issue is you didn't transition into phase 2, okay? So you can't get stuck in phase 1. You will not get consistent results. It will scale you, but you won't continue scaling for a long time with consistent results forever, okay? So that's where we get on to phase 2, which is get creative. So now that we have a decent idea of what ideas, angles, concepts, etc. are working and not working, because we tested all these things in phase 1, it's time to stop copy and pasting and instead get creative to come up with their own ideas and scripts, right? This is the key to really scaling here. So what we want to do is use different proven ad frameworks plus your deep research to create new ad scripts and briefs. So the frameworks are just used to help make coming up with ads easier. The framework being, once again, if you broke this down, you could always manage these at what kind of scenes they are. So this would be a hook. This would be like a problem intro, like introduce the problem. This would be, okay, now you go over bad alternatives. Ignore that spelling error, right? And then let's just say, once again, after that, maybe it would be intro product, features, benefits, social proof, and CTA. Like one thing, let's just say that this is a example framework or ad script structure, right? The structure here would be hook, intro problem, show bad alternatives, intro product, features, benefits, social proof, CTA. And you would know that. Well, how do you know what the ad structure is? Once again, you break down the ad like this on a doc and boom, we figured it out, what their ad structure is. Now, this is just an example, obviously, but that's how you know what an ad structure is that they're using that works for you. Do that with your own best ads and the competitor's best ads. You can compare those side by side and see what they're using versus what you're using, what's working for you, what didn't work for you, etc. Okay? So once again, these frameworks are just used to help coming up with ads easier. You do not need to use specific frameworks. And in fact, once you are good at making scripts, I recommend just steering away from them and using your own creativity. These are just guides, right? Like if you break it down, you don't have to make yours hook, problem intro, bad alternative, intro product, etc., etc., etc. Although when you first launch and you're bad at this and you're bad at marketing, you probably should because you don't know what you're doing. But as you go through and you do this more and more, right? You test every week these new ads, you'll get better and better at this. And then instead of social proof, you could put another bad alternative, or you could put whatever. Instead of features, you focus on some USPs, whatever, right? Point is, it's a guide. Don't live or die by it. Get creative. That's why phase 2 is called get creative. So take what ad scripts and angles that are currently working and rewrite them to make it feel new and different. So in phase 1, we're replicating ads. We test them, we launch them, etc. At this point, we should know what works for us and the ones that are getting spent from Facebook, right? And what we want to do is take those ad scripts and angles, take that winning ad and rewrite it as many times as you can with new content to make it feel new and different. This is how we improve efficiency, by testing under what's working. So you want to double down on the angles and stuff you know is working from phase 1, right? And we don't just change the hook, we don't just change the CTA, we don't just change the content. We're creating net new concepts, net new ads, right? But making it feel new and different. So an easy way to think about this is, how can we make this feel new and different while still saying the same thing, right? That's what you should be making in this stage. You should be doubling down on what you found in phase 1 and doing that. Because the goal here, right, is to find new winning ads ourselves versus being one step behind copying competitors. Because at this point, we should know what type of ads work for you and your competitors, what angles work, what kind of content work, etc. So we take this information and we start creating our own ads, which is why it's called get creative, right? But people don't do this because they're lazy. They keep referencing competitors over and over and over again. But you have to start coming up with your own ideas, right? Like, this is why brands hire creative strategists, right? To come up with better ideas and to continue scripting them and continue iterating on new ideas. If you continue to replicate from competitors, you will always be one step behind and you will consistently not scale. You will go up and you'll go down. You'll go up and you'll go down. The only way to continue scaling ahead of them and get the edge is by coming up with your own ideas, right? This could be just from your research and then you script an ad. This could be from different niches or different industries completely outside of yours, that you get ideas and concepts from them and bring it into yours. Right? Point is, we always go back to research here to come up with these new ideas, but point being, we're not replicating anymore. We did that, we got off the ground, but you can't stay there. So the hardest roadblock in this phase is, once again, being creative, right? So use tools like Foreplay and Ad Library to spark new ideas. Always be researching. This should be a daily task, or else essentially you end up making the same angles over and over and over again, right? So I did say you want to double down on that, right? And rewrite to make it feel new and different. That's great. But when that stops working, okay, well, now we have to go test different ones. Well, we always go back to our research to figure out, well, what should those be, okay? Last but not least, like I mentioned, look for inspiration outside of your niche. At this stage, we're just looking to reference good ads in general for inspiration to script our own new ideas. So it's a pretty simple concept. You have to ask yourself, where are you? Like, have you done phase 1 properly? If not, maybe go back and do phase 1. If you have done this and you've been running your brand for a couple months or a year, well, you probably know what works and doesn't work. And you probably just need to do phase 2 and get better at it, right? You're probably still stuck with replicating and making your same ad over and over again with just different hook variations and things along that. You're probably copying competitors, just testing hook variations, just testing different content. And in fact, you're probably not even reinvesting into new content as much as you should be. So what you need to do is get creative. And it's difficult, especially if you're not that creative of a person like myself. But until you have the funds and cash flow to go hire creative strategists, it's probably better than you at that to take it off of your plate. You need to do it yourself. I have to do it myself as well. And once again, it wasn't my strong suit, but you only have to really get 80%, skill wise. You don't have to be 100 out of 100. You can be 80 out of 100 and still scale massively, okay? So you still need to get decent enough at this to be able to scale yourself, to get the cash flow to then, outsource it. So once again, ask yourself, where are you? Are you phase 1 or phase 2? And then decide and go from there. So with that being said, I hope you found this useful. Once again, if you want me to dive into and take a look into your brand to see where you are and give you my feedback on your brand myself, one-on-one with you, check the link in the description. It explains how it works and if you'd be a good fit. Either way, I hope you take this. I hope you use it. It's a simple concept, but really, really ask yourself those questions. Dive into your ad account, see where you are, look back at your previous testing to see which phase you're in, and then act accordingly. Okay, so with that being said, I wish you the best of luck, and I'll see you in the next one.